I figured out kind of what happened. On the back of this, there are these holes. These are mud scrapers. They're designed to scrape off the mud off the teeth, but apparently they weren't doing their job very good because they were actually getting clogged up full of grass. So once I figured that out, I was able to pull the grass out. But why did they clog the grass to begin with? That's the question. This isn't the first dead field I've had to till. The orchard grass field, same thing, looked just like this. Didn't have any issue with it. So, I don't know. I'm gonna have to play around with it. Maybe I'm gonna switch these around and see. Hey guys. Alright, so I like to recap a couple of details from last night. So I did finally figure out what was going on with the cedar. Let me show you. And I don't remember if I videotaped it or not. But on the back there are these little plates right here that are little fingers. And these are called mud scrapers. So when these little tines rotate up, let's see, they rotate up, and then if they get caught on something, it's supposed to scrape it right off in here. Now, a lot of these drop cedars have that option. Not all of them do, but a lot. And you can take it off. It does come off with bolts. So what was happening was these tines, because they were set in the aggressive position, were actually retilling the field. And then every time they'd re-till it, it would scoop up that grass chunk that I just tilled under, and it would get caught up in here. And this wasn't scraping them off, so instead it was actually getting wedged right up underneath. So that was causing the whole machine to just bind up and then just pack itself in and just start dragging the field, which was fortunately not a huge area, but enough of an area. I do have to go back through actually real quick and spread it back out with the bucket, hopefully, and then repack over top. So after fighting and fighting and fighting, trying to get this stupid lever to move, and it would not move. Last time I used it, I could wedge myself against it and push it, but this time wasn't happening. So finally I just pulled the pins out. It was set in this first or second hole right here, so I just pulled the pins out of the hole behind it. See how you wedge one in front and wedge one behind? And I was hoping that it would just push itself back. Essentially, that as I worked the field, it would just push itself back. So the other thing I figured out too is that this machine has downward pressure from the 3-point right here. These are the 3-point arms. Now, even though this machine is set up to handle a smaller tractor right here, smaller tractors cannot lift it. Our neighbor's got like I think a 35 or 40 horsepower tractor, and he's got a 3-point hookup. He pulled right up to it excited because he was going to rent it. Couldn't put it on the back of his tractor. No joke. You cannot get it up there. You couldn't lift it. It was too heavy. So despite the fact that it looks like you can use it on a smaller tractor, you can't. It doesn't work. This is an 89 horsepower tractor, which if you go to Tractor Supply, they look at you like, oh, that's a small tractor. Like, a small tractor? How many people are running larger tractors than 89 horsepower out here? I mean, obviously in the country they do, but in our area it's not very common. So it actually worked in my favor, because once I figured out that I actually had a little bit too much downward pressure on the rototilling aspect of this, I lifted it so that the tines were just barely hitting the ground. So it was still spinning and poking holes in the ground, but it wasn't like aggressively tilling up the soil. So after that, I didn't have any more issues with it getting stuck. The other problem that you always have if you're cultipacking first and then you're going over it with a cultipacking seeder, it's really hard to follow your marks. Unless your soil is completely flat and completely smooth, then you can see maybe your tire tracks. What I figured out is that this cultipacker actually has a smaller packing diameter, just barely like 1/2 inch to 1 inch, than the big cultipacker. So I was able to kind of see where I had cultipacked with this versus where I hadn't. The other thing I need to get done is I have to go through and I have to overseed my orchard grass field. Now, orchard grass is a little bit more of a fickle creature than the brome. The brome, if anything, you're going to have a hard time getting it to come out. The orchard grass is so tiny that it just comes out super fast. So the way this type of seeder works is, this is the front part. This tills up the ground in front, and it also packs it. Depending on how you have it set, it might not till, it might just poke holes. See, right now I have it set so that it's just putting little holes in the ground. See, each little spike, it kind of aerates the soil a little bit, breaks it up. They're a little bit more flush with each other right now, so that means they're not going to be tilling quite as aggressively. If you have them V'd into each other, then they're going to really work up the soil a lot, and I don't want that where I'm planting. So those spin, they work up the soil, and then once the soil gets worked up, these seed cups, they actually start turning. There's little gears in each cup, and it just starts spitting out seed. It hits the deflection chamber back here, breaks it out, and then drops it flat down right in front. And then this bad boy runs over it and pushes it in the ground with its little fingers. Now, the rolling action of this guy actually dictates the seed coming out here. So the more this thing is rolling, the faster the seed's going to come out. You can adjust the size of the seed with these little levers here. This will open up the chamber on the inside and allow bigger seeds to come out or smaller seeds. And then this adjusts the little door at the top right here, the little door right there. That will widen or get smaller depending on your seed size. Yeah. So I will get busy getting this ready to go, and we'll go out there and I'll show you how it works. We're supposed to get a lot more rain this weekend, so that is perfect. I'm really having my fingers crossed. We just got maybe a little sprinkling last night, not a whole lot. Alright guys, so we're back on the orchard grass field right now. I went through and leveled off the hole in the brome field as best as I could. I mean, it just, not much you can do. It's a lot of it's just dead grass, so you can't really smooth that out. So I smoothed it out with the bucket a little bit, and then just ran over it with the seeder and the cultipacker, and that did a decent job. So it's just one small area, won't kill the field. Alright, so this is the orchard grass field, and already you can see that it's growing in a little bit thicker. It does look yellow. A, it's dry. It hasn't had any rain since all summer. B, probably needs the fertilizer reapplied a little bit differently. Actually, if you look at it, you can see a lot of it is dying. See, a lot of it's just brown. A lot of it is. So the tops of this one is just dying. Let me see if I can get one here. So you can see how the end of it is just turning brown and dying off, and that's because it is so dry. The little sprinkling of rain was enough to just make it slightly damp, but not penetrate down to the roots. You can definitely see some weeds in here. We've got Queensland lace and whatever the crap this stuff is. Looks like this He's dying off too. I did go through and mow it. I'm gonna recenter myself. This doesn't look too bad. I would love to put the horses or the cows out here and just let them eat it all down, but I can't because it'll stress the plants too much for starters, and secondly, I don't have any fencing around this field. There are definitely thin areas, like right through here, that need to be filled in. This whole side of this hill probably needs to be filled in a little bit. I don't know, it's just like little spotty areas, like right here, that just for some reason didn't get much. And those are the areas where the weeds are growing. Here's a whole strip. This whole area right here didn't get something, didn't get planted. I don't know. I have no idea. This might have been where it just clogged up and stopped working. It's kind of hard to tell when you're doing it in the minute. But I mean, you can actually see a whole row right there. See that whole row where it just, something happened right there. I don't know. So, alright. I'm gonna try not to get too upset. I'm just gonna try and put my headphones on, take it easy, have fun. It's not really fun, but I'm gonna put the camera on the cedar so you can see it in action. It's hard to videotape this stuff with one person, again. So I will do my best, and hopefully my camera doesn't fall off and get smashed. That'd be bad.